Bonjour classe, ça c'est notre vidéo de révision pour les pronoms, ça c'est subject pronouns, les noms, nouns in French, et les articles. Cette vidéo est notre dernière, last vidéo de révision. Pretty exciting, huh? So you may be wondering when you see this word right here, nom, you might think, yeah, I've seen that word before. It's always at the top of my page. It means name. Well, that's true too, but in the way that we're going to use this word today, nom also means noun. There's another word in French, substantif, which is also in English substantive, which is another word for noun, but I think that this word looks a lot more like our English word noun, so that's what we're going to use. So, here are our subject pronouns in French, les pronoms sujets. Répétez avec moi. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. So I know that you've seen these pronouns before and worked with them a lot. We're just going to go over a few quirks about them and why they mean what they do. Par exemple, je et J apostrophe. Pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a deux pronoms pour je? J apostrophe, c'est quand le verbe commence avec une voyelle, n'est-ce pas? Par exemple, how would we say I like en français? J'aime, and we would use J apostrophe. What about I am? Je suis, and we would use je because suis does not start with a vowel. For tu, we use this in informal situations, and what that means, of course, is you would use it with your friends, your parents, your family, your pets, and yes, even with Madame Clark, because we're not super formal in French class. However, if we were in school in France, you would definitely call all of your teachers by vous, and it's not a bad habit to just practice your vous form, even though I don't insist on us being very informal in my class. Il, elle, and on. These are pronouns which are called third-person pronouns because it's not me, the first person, it's not you, the second person, it's the third person, he, she, and it. In French, there is not a neutral pronoun that just means it, but instead, il and elle can both mean it. It can represent a person or a thing. For example, il, ça c'est Monsieur Jeans, n'est-ce pas? Il est un professeur d'histoire. But it can also refer to Monsieur Jeans's desk. Il est un grand bureau. It is a large desk. We can also refer to elle as either a person or a thing. Par exemple, Madame Clark, elle est une professeure de français, or it can refer to her chair. Elle est une petite chaise. The pronoun on is not something that we use often in English, but we do use it all the time in French. When you're speaking generally, for example, what makes one's happiness is hard work, sounds very difficult to say in English, and it doesn't sound like something you would say often. But in French, we use on quite often, and it can also have the meaning of we, just like nous. For example, in class, if I said, on y va, here we go, that's an example of using on to mean we. Nous and vous. Let's think about these as not exactly opposites, but related in a way. A lot of students get them mixed up and can't remember which one is we and which one is y'all. So think about me, myself, and 2 or 3 of your best friends. Which one of those would I use to replace myself and 3 of my best friends? Would I use nous, we, or us? Or would I use vous, you guys, or y'all? If I myself am included, I'm going to use nous. If it's other people other than myself and I am personally not included, then I would use vous. And that's why in class, as your teacher, I use the vous form when I talk to you guys. Sortez vos devoirs. Y'all take out your homework. Tournez à la page. You guys turn to page. Okay? So that's why, not because we're being formal, but because I'm speaking to a plural group and I am not including myself in that group. You would also use the vous form when you are speaking to someone in a position of respect or authority, like the president or the mayor or the governor or the principal or somebody like that. Finally, il et elle pluriel. We don't want to say ils and elles If you want to insist on the plurality and making a difference between il and il, you could say il pluriel, il singulier. But we never pronounce il and l. Think about now, what would you do if you had a group of all girls, like your class here at Hockaday? So c'est elle pluriel. What if you had a mixed group, a whole bunch of girls from Hockaday and one St. Mark's guy? That's right, we would change to il pluriel because anytime there's a mixed group, we're going to use the masculine. Alright, look at this image. This is part of your homework. I want you to pause the screen when I'm done talking and look at this graphic for a few minutes and think about why it's a good representation of tu versus vous, and we will talk about it in class tomorrow. Ok, maintenant les noms en français. En français, tous les noms sont masculins ou féminins. Voilà les exemples des noms qui sont féminins. Et voilà une liste des noms qui sont masculins. You've heard me say before that there's really no way to tell by looking at a noun whether it's masculine or feminine. I don't want you to panic about this. How do I know? Well, when you get a new vocabulary list, always look to the article to tell you the gender of the noun. For example, un, une, le, la, etc. If you're looking up a word on your own, let's say on wordreference.com or in your glossary, it will be indicated either with an indefinite article or with an F. What do you think F stands for? Féminin. So we know that robe is a feminine noun. So we want to remember to study the gender of the noun right along with the spelling and meaning. It's just as important, and as you know on a quiz, if you miss the gender, it could be some partial credit off. So what are those articles that are going to indicate the gender to us? Well, we have two categories of articles right now. The first one, les articles indéfinis, and they have a translation of a, an, or some. Répétez avec moi. Un, une, des. Et puis, il y a les articles définis, et ça veut dire the. Répétez avec moi. Le, la, les, et l'apostrophe. Why do we have this extra one? The same reason like with je. In case the word starts with a vowel, you cannot use le or la, but instead we'll use l'apostrophe. If a plural noun starts with a vowel, we don't need to do anything to change it. Over here, if we have something that is feminine and starts with a vowel, we don't make any changes at all. For example, une école. There's nothing we can do to change that one, so we leave it the way they are. So these are very, very handy for indicating the gender and also for telling the difference between if it's something specific, the desk, the chair, or just a desk, some chairs, etc. And then a good rule of thumb to remember is after pas, always de. So what I mean by this is we want to never use des after pas in a negative sentence. We want to change des by dropping off its s to de. And if it should come against the vowel, des apostrophes. Let's look at some examples. J'ai un chat, mais je n'ai pas de chien. Il a un stylo, mais il n'a pas de crayon. Nous n'avons pas d'argent. Look how in each of the negated parts of the sentence we had de or des apostrophes instead of un, like we did in the beginning part of the sentence. It's sort of the same as changing it to I have some friends to I don't have any friends. So after pas, always de. Finally, let's do a couple of exercises together. You can pause the screen right now if you'd like and try to work these out on your paper. Alright, pour les articles indéfinis. Chien, porte et crayon. Chien, est-ce que c'est masculin ou féminin? Masculin. Alors j'écris un. Porte, masculin ou féminin? Oui, c'est féminin. Une porte. Crayon, c'est pluriel. Alors, j'utilise des. Les articles définis maintenant. Chien, c'est masculin, alors c'est le. Porte, féminin, la. Et crayon, qui est pluriel, c'est les. Ici, on ne sait pas quel article, c'est le contexte. Context will determine whether we use a definite article or an indefinite article. J'ai blank chat qui s'appelle Fifi. Do I have the cat or a cat? J'ai un chat qui s'appelle Fifi. Tu n'as pas blank stylo. After pas, always. Très bien. Elisabeth II est blank reine d'Angleterre. Is she a Queen of England or the Queen of England? You bet. She's the Queen of England. And remember that all nouns must always have an article of some kind, whether it's indefinite, definite, or just de. Merci les filles. Bonne rentrée.